morning to you, and welcome back to the Higher Grounds podcast. I appreciate you coming around the table here in the compound of the Higher Grounds podcast, deep down in the belly of the earth in the dungeon we call the Higher Grounds podcast studio, or we call it a compound around here. Good to have our dear friend, Brother Chad Bailey, and there are people that love us, and then there are people that hate us. And generally, the people that love us are the same people, and the people that hate us are the same people. So it's good to have common friends and common enemies. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I appreciate the Lord allowing us to meet many years ago. I don't know how many years it's been, but several. And I've
been saved 30 years, and I think I met you within 2 years of getting saved.
Really?
Yeah, so it's about 28 years ago.
Well, that's been an awfully long time. Yeah. And you pastored three churches. That's right. What I thought.
Yes, sir.
3. Mm-hmm. Now, is that 3 or 4?
It's 3.
I thought you pastored in Tennessee, a little place in Tennessee, not for long.
It was kind of a chapel issue. That was a group of people that were familiar with our college.
Yeah.
I was still single back then, and so we went there and had church with those folks for the better part of a year.
I got you.
I'd never really called it a pastor. I was single.
Were you ever aware of the Tennessee Temple chapels around the North Georgia, southeast Tennessee area?
I did become aware of that. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Tennessee Temple, under the direction of Lee Robertson.
Yes.
They had a bunch of little bitty churches.
Satellites.
Yeah, that were all throughout the rural communities of southeast Tennessee and northwest Georgia. And they would, maybe even some into Alabama, North Alabama.
Yes,
but they would send their preachers out of the college to preach in those. And then they would switch them out. I don't think that's necessarily personally. I didn't approve of that message.
The college constituting churches.
It was. That's basically what it became.
Yeah.
But it is. It's when you look back on history, there's a lot of things that you can reflect back on that you see, and you got to scratch your head about it. But it was just openly embraced, whatever.
Yeah. But being separated this far from that history, we see the problems that were gendered by that, that were engendered by that. And so they didn't see the potential problems, I guess, back then that we are dealing with.
No, they did. Hey, let me touch a sacred cow, if I might, real quick.
Dare you?
Dare I touch the sacred cow?
Surely not, Andy Wells.
So do you think if I had, if I'm a 58-year-old guy, let's say that I had a group, like a 12-girl ensemble of troubled teenage girls and young adult girls.
I see where
they sang real good. Do you think anybody would have anything to say if I traveled with them in a bus by myself or flew in an airplane by myself and took them to meetings by myself? Do you think anybody would have any issue with that in this day?
From the past, evidently that wasn't.
They didn't with Dr. Roloff, did they?
Incredible. I was listening to him when I was coming through. I was thinking about this same subject. You and I had not talked about this before the podcast.
No, we hadn't.
But, I was thinking about coming through Greenville this morning. I left about 6 o'clock from our house, and then the Greenville area, of course, WTBI, the Family Altar Program, and those girls were singing right before Brother Roloff was in the pulpit at a church that was not the church that he was pastoring. I thought to myself, he traveled to that location with those girls, either in a plane or in a church van.
And we're not suggesting anything nefarious whatsoever.
No.
But it is something that was just, whatever, that's the man of God, buddy, and he's pure and he's holy, and I believe he was. But you'd have people scratching their head and putting big question marks on that if you did it in 2024.
Better have your wife with you for all of that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yes, it's exactly right. Well, we're just sitting around here jawing a little bit this morning, drank a little bit of coffee and talking and just enjoying the day. We was supposed to have Michael Lindsay in-house, and he was unable to make it, and then supposed to have Matthew in-house, and Matthew wasn't able to make it, and we've got old Joe Nathan Jonathan, the voice of Reflections, behind the camera today, trying to help us out a little bit. And he has been schooling me on some technology. We're going to bring a little little tidbit about technology to the table here in a day or two.
Mm-hmm.
And we need it.
Yeah,
we need it. Y'all broadcast your services.
We do. We have a YouTube channel, Roanoke Baptist Church on YouTube, Roanoke Baptist Church, of course, on Facebook, and then, of course, through my personal Facebook page.
Right.
Everything is reposted. Yeah,
that is great.
The most reliable of those is the YouTube channel. You can get it live as well as archived, I think is the right word. You can get archived messages there as well. Yeah.
I am surprised at how much material we have put out in the last 5 years. And, I mean, there is a proliferation of Higher Grounds podcast material, and then as I've been on the road, folks have uploaded our messages, to YouTube and to sermon audio and such, and it's amazing how much material's out there.
Agreed, and those things are really beneficial. I was listening to somebody the other day. It was actually a secular podcast, and he was talking about how attention spans have changed. It's been contended that attention spans of people have changed. He said, I don't think that's the truth. He said, we just don't have the time, for 1 hour or 1.5 hour, 2 hour sit down like we used to, where you would do it with a VHS or something of that nature, a VCR recording, actually on a tape recording instead of just a digital recording. He said, listen, the attention span is the same. He said, my general work day, I'm going to listen to the first 15 minutes of a podcast on the way to work. Somewhere around break time, I'm going to pick up another 15 minutes. Around lunchtime, I'm going to get another hour. He said, my attention doesn't break from it. I've just got other things to do. And so that's a refreshing thought to me, that people, they really tap in. They may not watch it all in one setting.
Well, even 50 years ago, it was not uncommon for a radio program to be
30 minutes.
A long one would be 30 minutes.
Yes,
you'd have 10 and 15, 20-minute programs.
Dr. Seitler is still on WTBI in a 30-minute broadcast.
What about that?
And he's on 3 times a day, 6 o'clock in the morning, I believe 11 o'clock in the midday, and then he comes on again at night. It's a 30-minute broadcast.
Now, those are excerpts from pulpit messages,
Correct.
though.
Generally, they generally take one of Dr. Seitler's sermons and make 2 broadcasts out of it.
So he was an hour preacher.
Part 1, part 2. Well, they overlap a little bit.
Okay.
They give you a bit of a relapsed introduction of the last part of the last 5 minutes of part 1, and then it leads into it. Yeah, but somewhere around there. I think he taught his students to be a 40-minute preacher. After that, he said you need to break that into a 2-part series.
Right. Or for some of us, a month series.
Yeah, true. I do a 15-minute, Sure Word Radio comes on every morning. We've got 5 radio stations.
That is the name of your program on TBI.
That's the name of my program on WTBI.
Is it on any other outlet other than TBI?
We have 5 different radio stations that carry it. West Virginia, Georgia, one in Mississippi, one in Florida, and then we have one that is online only, but those are local stations that carry it.
Yeah.
And ours is a 15-minute broadcast. I can take one of my messages and do 5 mornings of broadcasting. Now, I do a good bit of music at the beginning, and I have a good, strong conclusion, with generally a 3-minute conclusion and about a 2.5-minute introduction. So that gives you, right in the sweet spot of ours, it gives you...
And it's how many
People
minutes?
don't lose it. It's 15 minutes.
15 minutes, okay.
In entirety, yeah. Sure Word Radio.
And it airs how many times a week?
5 times a week.
5 times a
Monday
week.
through Friday, yeah. And we're thinking
Are they airing the same day on all of these stations, or?
Yes.
What is the online station?
It's Brother Rep Logel. Runs, it's out of Ohio. I forget the name of what he calls that now, but it's Brother Rep Logel. He runs an online ministry and does several preachers.
That's great.
And, of course, I don't charge anybody for anything I do, and none of these guys charge me. They wanted the material. I gave them the material. I feel like the Word of God should be free.
Amen.
So
Amen.
Happy to do it.
Well, I think somebody was asking me about the other day about, do you feel like you're getting enough? Are you receiving enough views and all of that? And that boils back down to the this idea of I'm trying to promote myself, or I'm trying to build a following or a kingdom of some sort in a technological way, which I have no affinity for. I told an individual who asked me that, I said, here's what you don't understand. I said, what we're putting out by way of these technological means, we're putting material out there that's going to be there until Jesus comes. I mean, it's not going anywhere. This technological world is always going to be here.
This is the greatest day for the communication of God's word.
There is no doubt about that.
Any generation ever.
And I said, so, the effect that the material we're putting out has, its greatest effect may be like E.M. Bounds, or maybe like Tozier, or maybe like Ravenhill. It surpasses our life, and the greatest effect we've had is going to be after we're dead with the material that we put out. And as well, because this is audio and video, when I am dead and gone, and that's not going to be, I'm not going to live another 3 decades. So when I'm dead and gone, my grandchildren will still be able to see me. My great-grandchildren will still be able to see me and hear me.
Absolutely.
And to me, that's invaluable.
It's more than a book, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's a personality.
It's a legacy.
People say, well, personality should be separated from the pulpit, but I mean,
you can't do that.
God pours His word through a man's personality. Sure. It comes out through the man's personality.
Look at the different personalities he used.
The Apostle Paul was daylight and dark with James. I mean, the way they went about some of the same truths, they approached it in a very different way.
Elijah and Elisha,
absolutely. And the Apostle Paul said that Timothy was like-minded as I am.
Yes.
But still there was a personality difference.
Yeah.
Timothy was a very insecure individual.
Right.
Paul was a type A personality, very choleric. He just you can see him kind of ruling the room. When he walks into a room, he garners everybody's attention.
Yes.
And you can see that in his writings, but I've always wondered what his voice was like. I've always wondered, what he looked like. There's suppositions, there's ideas of what he might have looked like, but of course he looked like a typical Jewish man from that century.
He even referred to himself as, his stature isn't much. He said, you look at me and say, I'm not much in stature. Yeah. So he evidently wasn't a specimen of a man in good looks or
like you.
Right. Correct.
Yeah, exactly. I had that in mind immediately when you said that. I know you wanted me to say that. So
and I fished for that, and I caught him.
We're at the Sea of Galilee here.
That's right. Hey, tell about the Sea of Galilee. What'd you think?
Brother Wells, I'm impressed. And I just want to say this to all of the folks that have never been here on campus at Galilee Baptist Church. It looks like a golf course.
It's an awesome campus.
The landscaping, and I know that your son-in-law has a great deal to do with that. I don't know if he's ever been given credit on the podcast, but I came from some of that.
Yes.
When I was in South Georgia, I had my own landscaping business and pastored, and I just really appreciate how you pay attention to detail, and it is just extraordinary. And then when I came in, is this 601?
It is.
I came in 601. Of course, you have to loop back around to come back to the church. And when I made that loop, I immediately, within just yards, saw the lake, saw the new pond, and wow, brother. And then Brother Wells gave me the tour down to it, told me the plans for it, how it's going to add to youth camp.
Yes.
Possibly even the opportunity of you and I to spend some time out by it tonight with the men of the church.
Yeah.
And wow.
Right.
What an extraordinary. God has blessed this church. Bro.
God has blessed this church. There's no doubt about it. And it's not because of me. It's just because God's people.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So has this church always owned this amount of property, or have you bought what's around you since you've been pastoring?
No.
Here?
So when Ronnie Simpson first started this church, he started it. I don't know if you've seen the church he started out of at the state line.
On the state line.
Yeah.
Yes, I have.
So it's a little bitty hole in the wall building, basically. He's a little quaint little Southern church.
Got it.
And so 65 people left with Ronnie and started the Galilee Baptist Church in basically a storefront location. And then within a year, they saw where we're sitting now, which was a farm
Back then.
Yeah. And
this church is over 50 years old?
This year.
This
year is 50.
Congratulations.
So Ronnie saw this piece of property and started inquiring about it, spoke to the farmer about it. And the farmer said, it's not for sale. I have no intentions of selling it. And he said, okay. So Ronnie would come out here, as the story goes, every day, and he would walk this property. This is a 10-acre plot. He would walk it and pray over it, walk it and pray over it, walk it.
I bet this piece of property was on Percy Ray's prayer list too.
Yeah, I guarantee.
Friends,
yeah, and Percy preached here in this building. Mm-hmm. So the farmer finally got up with Brother Ronnie, and he said, I'm going to sell it, And so he sold it to Preacher Simpson, and they started the Galilee Baptist Church here, this building that we're sitting in now. Within a short amount of time, they built the building behind us.
Okay.
They originally, in the dungeon here, they had the fellowship hall, and then eventually they built a small fellowship hall out back.
Yeah.
They added the wing, which is the dormitories now, which became a daycare and a Christian school.
I see. Wow.
And then he had the original Bible college out there. And then when Steve got here, he put the second wing on the back, which is where our dining area is now.
Okay. Yeah.
And then we turned, of course, we renovated the dormitories since I've been here. So after that, Preacher Simpson bought the 22 acres, which is where the lake is now.
Okay.
He bought that entire field, and I don't know that you know this, but they had a double wide trailer on the hill. Mm-hmm. And they started a boys' home. They had a boys' home here.
I had no idea.
And it burned to the ground. And after it burned to the ground, they did not continue with that ministry. Okay. And it wasn't long after that, Brother Simpson was preaching every week somewhere. Yeah. And he left here in '84 to go into evangelism.
And that's when Steve Griffith
came. He was here 16 years.
You're the third pastor?
23 years.
You're here 23 years.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that's basically a rundown.
3 pastors.
Yeah. But, we've done... Ronnie was a visionary. He had visions of grandeur in regard to ministry, and his vision was ministry. And so he would throw up buildings, not thinking about, being fancy or anything. He was just throw the buildings up. Yeah. We got to start the ministry. We got to get the ministry going. And so he was a visionary, a ministry visionary. And then Steve came, and Steve was a perfectionist. And so Steve came in and started perfecting everything that was here. Yeah, and basically, when I came, I was a visionary in regard to ministries that I wanted to start. Correct. While having a maintaining desire to maintain the quality that Steve had put in place. And so
you had a little bit of both. You had the property to be a visionary, and then you had good buildings.
The first year we were here, we started clearing property that had just been let go. We started clearing property where the lake is now was just a jungle.
Okay.
And so we went in and we began to cut trees. And
the pavilion that's down in the hole at the bottom of the
Steve built that.
Very nice. Very nice.
And this is not the direction we had going for the podcast today.
No.
But hey, it's been fun.
Yeah.
What our intent, the vision for the future is, and we spoke about this earlier, is we're going to begin to start building cabins on the hill.
Love it.
And because we now have the lake, we have a property that you can come and relax and enjoy yourself on. We're going to have the lake. The lake will be stocked with fish. It'll be good for swimming. Awesome. There's places where you can grill out, and there's places where you can have a bonfire. But the intent, if you'd like to help us, we'd love your help, is we're going to build cabins so that preachers who are struggling or they're not in a position where they can take their family on a vacation, they can come to our area, stay free of charge. Yeah. They've got the lake and a place to relax.
Absolutely.
And then we've got amusement parks that are within an hour of us, and places
this is separated. You have Monroe,
yes,
but it's separated enough from town.
Yes.
You don't have to worry about being in town.
Oh yeah, you're not in town.
Yeah,
you're 8 miles from either city limit.
Right.
You're on a 4-lane thoroughfare, but you're literally in the middle of nowhere. This is just farming
If
country.
this is asking too much, what appraisal does this property at the point that you have it right now?
I haven't even.
Got to be well over $2 million.
Oh, it's way, way, way over $2 million.
North of that.
Yeah. But I'll say this.
Probably got $2 million worth of buildings.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this: in my 23 years, we've done over $2 million worth of renovations to the property.
And
now we've not paid that because the Lord's blessed our church to where that we have painters and plumbers and septic guys, and we have contractors and builders and gutter guys, and we've got.
So you have men that can do it, or they're connected to other people that can do it. Yeah,
we have
awesome.
We have 2 general contractors in the church. We have a paint contractor in the church. We have electricians in the church. God's blessed
Landscape.
us. Yeah, yeah, and we've got taxidermists in the church. So we've got
that.
Yeah. So we've got we've got everything that you can imagine.
Do you have a lawyer?
That is one thing we don't.
You need to get a lawyer saved.
Well, here's what I think is going to happen.
You're going to need one of those ones.
My grandson Samuel is probably going to be the lawyer. Yeah, he's got that mind and that quick wit. And Benjamin could probably, he and his brother Benjamin could probably, Benjamin could win an argument with a tree, and so. I really think those 2 could probably go into law together.
Wow.
And I think we might have that, And of course, one thing we're missing is
we're all going to need a lawyer.
We don't have a hitman on retainer, but we do have a few that are willing.
Okay, gotcha. And that could be a long distance thing.
Yes, very much so.
You could be dangerous up close.
Yeah, or
Very
up close or at
long distance. Yeah, reach out and touch.
And we have
obviously all these deer on the wall.
We have a we have a representative Glock. Mike McAvoy, who is our resident Marine Force Recon guy, and he's a pistol aficionado and works for Glock. I got it all.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Isn't that a blessing?
If you come to Galilee, you're going to find somebody to talk to just standing out in the pews, and you're going to find somebody out there that has something in common with you.
Absolutely.
Whether it's deer hunting or fishing or golfing.
Yes,
or working.
That's the truth.
Some people do recreation as their job.
Yeah.
And you're going to find a lot of that.
Yeah.
You're a little bit of all that, aren't you, brother?
We are. I am. We're hardworking people. We work hard.
Would you play golf
and we
if somebody
play hard.
invited you to go play golf?
I would.
Yeah.
I would.
Yeah.
I've golfed a lot through the years.
Yeah.
But
business.
Yeah, in business.
In business.
And I never was what I would consider good, but I could go and play. And I'm not Dale Massengale. Dale can pick up anything and do anything. And
if you put a bet on with Dale, he'd take your money from you, man.
He's a mess.
Matter of fact, I think that's how Dale and his church are building that new church building.
So.
His golfing, him and Tiger Woods been playing. Off Tiger Woods. Yeah.
Yeah. they
or Brother Voiles, it may be him. They've got.
Dale's a different
game over there.
Yeah. Dale's a different breed of guy now.
I've never played with Dale. He's been around our area. Matter of fact, he was just preaching for Brother Jarvis this week at Union in their Jubilee meeting. I think he preached there last night, and I've always wanted to invite Dale to go play golf with us. I just never have been able to do it.
Yeah, he's a good man. They're good people. So you've been having special meetings at your church, haven't you?
We do in the month of August. Generally, the month of August has got either 5 Tuesdays or 5 Thursdays.
Yeah.
And this month it was 5 Thursdays, and so we've had Thursday services instead of Wednesday services, which is 5 different pastors. I always have a pastor on those nights. I don't have to drag him away from his church, and we have had extraordinary meetings. It's been like a 5-night revival. We've only had 2 of them come in so far. This coming Thursday, we've got another one coming in, and man, it has been extraordinary.
Wonderful. Who's coming in this week?
Brother Stephen Williamson will be with us this
what a
weekend
great
on
preacher.
Thursday night.
Great man.
Yeah,
great
absolutely.
man. And the work that he's done there in Columbia is
tremendous.
unbelievable.
And they're in a building program.
Oh, yeah.
So
they always have been.
It seems like he's always been in the building program.
And he's a builder. I mean, he genuinely is a builder
Yeah.
himself. So.
And beautiful property.
Isn't
top
it,
of the
though?
line, everything
Isn't
that he
it?
does. I've only preached for him one time, and of course it's in the current structure that they worship in now. And
I've preached for him back in the old Anabaptist structure.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, when it was I think they'd changed, but it was Gethsemane Anabaptist Church for a long time. Yeah,
I had no idea.
It really was.
Wow. It's an old Anabaptist. So it had that name on the sign?
Yes, it was.
Anabaptist.
Yeah. Yes, it did.
Wow. How about, I've never been by a church that had Anabaptist on the sign.
Yeah.
I guess the Anabaptist, that was kind of that was before church signs.
It was. It was.
Church signs weren't a thing for Anabaptists.
That wasn't an advertisement. Back in those days, it was a death sentence that was hung on your neck.
Truth.
Yeah.
Truth. Yeah. So how did he end up taking that? I mean,
He was out of that church.
Okay.
Yeah, he was saved as a result of that church. Went out of that church as a missionary. Now, Steve was on his way to being a tremendous baseball player.
I've never heard that.
Yeah, he was going to be he had the potential to be great in baseball, and he got saved. And he and his dad, and God called him to preach, and it wasn't long after he preached.
Wow.
And then he married the pastor's daughter and all that good stuff, and so.
We have folks in our church that are akin to Shoeless Joe Jackson. Some of his descendants are members of our church, the Kelly family, some other people. Yep, sure do. I think he grew up right around the Greenville area. Shoeless Joe Jackson.
Yeah, I don't know that Steve's wife was the pastor of that church's daughter, but her daddy was a preacher.
Okay.
Yeah, amazing,
Incredible.
Amazing. Yeah. Hey, we have spent a few minutes together.
Yeah.
Can you come back?
Absolutely.
All right, we're going to get back around the table. We've just told you about Galilee, pretty much. We've chit-chatted and drank coffee.
Absolutely.
And we're drinking some good Dunkin' Donuts coffee, believe that or not. Hey, we're out of here. You keep pressing on the upward way, keep drinking good coffee, and have a great day.